Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So, I was reading this because I've been wanting to do another Reddit one. I think, honestly, for a lot of July, um, I think let's just be gay. Let's talk astrological. I honestly think that going towards like Leo season, it's a time of the year where a lot of people want to indulge and they don't stay as focused, which means like only the real ones are watching. It's kind of like in December, the real ones are watching. This is like another one of those lulls where I think people are on vacation, people are busy, people are doing things. And so I want to talk to the real ones a lot in July. I also want to ask you guys to send me some MSP videos if you see them, like especially on Instagram. I appreciate them in the DMs because I want to get more of those done, especially in July. Because I want to, create a playlist of all of them and at least have some kind of resource. It's a weird feeling to be getting to the end of that. But I want to have like a playlist because when I became Midsize, there was nothing. So I don't want that to happen. I want to at least have something to look at. But this post I felt was interesting because there was like some tortured, then some MSP. Like I feel like there was a lot of stuff going on. And for those of you guys who know my channel and know me and etc., you know my eras. And I thought it was kind of interesting to provide some contrast. And then I want to talk about it in general because I think that this topic is it's somewhat typical from bigger sizes. And so we need to talk about it. So let's get into it. Y'all are the real ones. Y'all are real. From mid-July to mid-August, y'all are the real ones. Once the kiddos go back to school, people start caring about weight again. And then after that, or maybe even like when people go back to school or like those of you guys in college, etc., then people care. But this time it's like the ones who are serious. So if y'all are serious, then let's talk because I want to give some advice and stuff, and I want to share my perspectives and use this time, especially before my birthday. It's very reflective. It's like a very reflective phase. These next 2 weeks before I go to LA. If you guys remember, I'm going back. So I'm going back to my birthplace, if you couldn't tell by my accent. The other thing I wanted to show is new shirt. So this one I decided to just wear today because I was like, I'm fitting in it pretty much. You can see my belly, but it's like, just because you can't see my belly doesn't mean that it's not there, right? Let me see if I can show you guys. I know this is like really dumb, but you guys know I do potato camera stuff. So this is kind of how it looks. This is a large polo. So this is where I'm at. This is so dumb. I'm so dumb to do it this way. So I kind of wore it like this, kind of, and it was fine. And yeah, I still have large shorts on because my thighs are a little swollen, but they are depoofing. So we're going to get there pretty soon to that medium because I'm not building as much muscle. But anyways, let's talk about this. I hate that I never had a chance to have a normal looking body. This is a tortured statement, okay? So I'm going to teach you guys about some of the eras here, okay? We're going to look at it. This person is tortured. They are tortured. It's giving tortured Mo. Very much so. Tortured, morbid, obese. He's 5'6", 219. He might be getting to the end of tortured Mo, but I still think he's there. Let me look it up. Let's look it up. Yes, I was dead on the very end. Look at me. I'm getting good at this. So I could tell, I'm like, this is a very tortured Mo type of statement that he's making. I'm so on period. I'm so on point. Okay. So the poster is tortured. Now I did see an MSP in the comments, so we're going to cover that too. All right. The last time I was a healthy weight was when I was probably 5 or 6 or 7 years old. So I spent most of my life overweight. When I was 13 to 16, I was about 230, 235. Every single one of my close family members are fat and have been all my life. How was I supposed to keep a healthy body with this upbringing? I just feel bad that I'll go from fat to a body full of loose skin. Like, yeah, I'll be healthy, but I'll still look like shit. Or cool, I'll have to spend over $15,000 for a surgery. It's just pissing me off that I never had a chance because of my family in this food environment in the West, and I'll probably have to pay a shit ton of dollars just to look normal. So, I need to answer this, Obvi, when you talk about it. I don't talk about loose skin all that much because I need to know where I end up before I do. I don't know. And I think that it's important if you're on a journey to not think about it that much because you don't know. So this is an element within torturedness. I don't know if this person has toxic ritualistic stuff going on, but there could be. There definitely could be. I don't have enough information, but there's at least a risk of that or a shot of that there. But you have to not focus so much on the potential because you don't know. It's like a big question mark. But what is tortured about this? So tortured has to do with having significant issues due to being significantly overweight, possibly even super morbidly obese, which I do think this person was, 257 at 5'6". You know, I think he was probably at the lower end. Let's calculate it. Let's do it right now. Yes, so I would consider super morbid probably above 40. So yeah, just at that tail end. Just to keep it in perspective, I started in 2022 at 49. 49. I'm becoming a downsizing veteran. I'm becoming a grandmother Willow of the downsize. Because it's kind of weird to say that. It's like that was 3 years ago. I'm almost 3 years from when I started counting. So that's a trip. Anyways, so let's see what the veteran has to say. What do I have to say as a WL veteran? Yeah, so I think he was SMO. SMO gives toxic ritualistic high likelihood, especially if there isn't hormonal issues that put him there. So I'm thinking that a lot of times when you're tortured, it's like a feeling of coming back to reality. It's a feeling of, I think I said it before, becoming human. It's bizarre. It's something that most people don't go through. But when you are super morbidly obese, your body doesn't look like another person's body. Like it looks totally different. It's very hard to relate to other people. It's hard to identify as well with other people. I think that's why we see a lot of times, especially when you combine it with the toxic ritualistic, you have like the fab fatties, right? They have to be friends with people who are also super morbidly obese because they can't relate to thin people anymore. And it's during this morbid phase that you start to bridge that gap, and it can be very uncomfortable. It's very gray. As you guys, if any of my members, if you guys have, you guys can comment the tortured emojis. And I know some of you guys have it as, it's like your second month as a member, etc. But yeah, it is gray. I do like the black and white look. of it because it's very gray. It's like you're there but not there. You're returning to planet Earth, but you're not quite on planet Earth. You know, you're having your your Taylor Swift "I hate it here" moment. You're on the moon. You're not on the other planet anymore, but you're on the moon and you're looking at Earth and you're not at Earth yet. You know, being small fat or class 1 obesity, etc. That's when you're on the planet. That's when you're back on Earth, okay? But that process of being on the moon, it's difficult because it feels like being between two worlds, which you are, in a sense. It's very bizarre. So you start to think about a lot of things. There's a lot of rumination. There's a lot of thinking about past failures of your own, past failures of your family, past failures institutionally. I had a lot of these feelings when I was tortured Mo. I thought a lot about the fact that my EFOB letter D was completely missed when I had seen multiple counselors in high school. I'd gone to therapy multiple times, and I would be so enraged at the complete incompetency of our system and of the therapists and stuff like that, which I understand there are elements of lying and hiding, but I think given my size and such, I think it should have been kind of obvious, which I know that that's harsh to say, but these are the kind of feelings you have when you're tortured. It's kind of like everything is sharp. So I wouldn't necessarily feel that way completely today because I can think, well, I did lie and I did hide it. And there was so much of a focus on the reductive side. So I can look at it more objectively of why it happened. But when you're tortured, you feel very strongly about it. And you feel very strongly about these things. And they are legitimate. I think that's the biggest thing about being tortured is that it's not delusional. It's not extra. It's real. This guy does have a real beef with his family. This guy does have a real beef for likely being taught the toxic ritualistic, being a part of a family cycle. And that's valid. That's hard. That has to be dealt with. It has to be forgiven. It has to be worked through. It's valid. It's real. And I think it can be a little challenging for people around you when you're morbid because you are working through these things. And a lot of people don't know what to say because your situation is probably very individual. But it's real. It's not like super morbid. When you're super morbid and you're downsizing, your hormones are going crazy. So a lot of how you feel is not real. And you have to stay very physically grounded during that phase because it's like there's all these hormonal storms and drastic hormonal shifts. But when that finally calms down and you become just morbid, you see things clearer. And that clarity is gray. It's hard. And I feel for somebody. I feel for him. I do. You know, this is not like an MSP, like, oh, you sound so stupid. Like, this is like, no, I get it. He's upset at institutional failures, family failures, and likely even self-failure. He may not be talking about that, but he probably thinks about it all the time. I know when I was tortured, I constantly thought about the years wasted. I would think about how much I regretted the toxic ritualistic, and at times I would grieve losing it. You know, it was very tortured. It's hard. You often are of two minds in that phase on a psychological level and to a certain extent on a physical level too, because your body changes a lot. There's a lot of hormonal shifts in that phase. So you have to just have grace with yourself. You have to be patient. You know, these are things people don't want to hear, but it's reality. You have to be patient. You have to understand, too, that the heaviness that you feel is not going to last forever. But it's something that you need to deal with and lean into. and process because you want to deal with this. If you suppress it past this point, it can put you at risk for regain. And you have to get through all this and forgive it. And it's difficult. But this is a phase where I talked a lot about how forgiveness is a part of weight loss. It's because of this phase, because you have to let go. So when he talks about having a body full of loose skin, I already talked about point 1. You don't know. You have to see where you're at. You have to see where it all lines up at the end game, the total end. So even for me, when I'm in maintenance, it's not the end. I have another cut planned after about 8 months, anywhere between 6 to 8 months of maintenance. I have a cut that I'm going to do. And at that point, I think I'll have a clearer picture of where I'm at. As far as going into it, thyroid health, babe. I talk about it all the time. It's good to really take care of your thyroid. It will help. It will help. It helps you restore a lot of different things. People can have loose skin even being big because their thyroid health is shot. Or if you're running too much on cortisol and adrenaline, it breaks down the protein in your body, including muscle and including like collagen and things like that. So you need to get your hormone health in order the best that you can as soon as you can. And you also have to understand that you're never gonna be perfect hormonally in a deficit. So there is going to have to be a maintenance phase to see how your skin will be. It's a fact. So I know people freak out about it and stuff, but you have to kind of just see what happens, basically. Like for me personally, I've been really shedding a lot of water lately. I wouldn't be surprised if I lose again this week. Because I'm not pushing myself as hard in the gym. And my thighs, they have looked a little bit worse skin-wise, and it was scaring me a little bit. But it's also like, well, you just lost a lot of water. See how your skin does in the times to come. See what happens in the time to come. Because from where I came from to where I am, I've had times where it's better, where it gets better there on my thighs. And then if I like lose a lot quickly, like with water, it gets worse for a while, but then it tends to get better again. So it's like you have to look at it objectively, which is hard. It's very hard for people to do because people often forget what things look like. Like, for example, I've had hanging arms for a while, but my arms always hung, even at my heaviest. So I think it's also important to keep in perspective what has actually gotten worse and what has stayed the same. And that's important too, because it could be that it's not necessarily that it's not worse, that it's just not getting better, or it's similar to how it was at your biggest. That can happen too. But regardless, my opinion, thyroid health, number 1. Number 2, you have to actually get somewhat lean. You have to actually lose enough. You can't be, I don't know what he would try to be at 5'6", but you can't do the whole like I'm gonna stay in class 1 and see where it's at, or you can't be like me, like you can't be 6'1" and stop at 230. You can't do that. You have to actually do it, and you have to build muscle because you're losing muscle throughout downsizing, and that also makes your body look less typical because you're losing muscle in a way that thin people never have. So you have to account for that and compensate, and then you have to train in a maintenance phase too. There's a lot of steps. So I think a lot of people, they don't give themselves enough time, and they don't think about thyroid health, and they don't actually do the damn thing. So once that's all done, then I will let you guys know. But I'm not there. I'm just not. I am currently 26.7% body fat. So I still, for my first goal was, or at least my working goal is 17% body fat. So I still have to lose almost 10% more. So yeah, you can't really half-ass it, you know. Those are my thoughts. I will see what happens. But when you're tortured Mo, I would suggest not understanding that you just don't know. You're only thinking about potentials. That's it. So, let's see what else we got. I feel you. I get really upset when I think about the way I was raised with food and how I literally never learned a healthy way to be activity or food-wise. It's made me determined to set a better example for my kids and to teach them to love and care for their bodies. I think that's a good take. It's important to break cycles. It's important to let it stop with you. I think that can bring you peace on a psychological level. I'll be healthy, but I'll still look like shit. You don't know this. Don't catastrophize your positive future with negative fantasies. It's not fair. It's not, but it's not over. And you're only going to get healthier and happier. Good luck. So I think there's this aspect too of believing that loose skin looks worse than being super morbid. It's not true. It just isn't. Now you can look at people, like a good example that comes to mind is this one girl on Instagram. I'm going to name her name. Her name is Emma Gets Fit. So she was like, she's horrified that she has any stretch marks or anything. Like, people will create the highest of standards when it comes to this stuff. And it is in my belief, and to a certain extent in my experience, that it tends to be a lot better than you think, especially if you are doing it in a healthful way. And again, considering thyroid health, which I will continue to say over and over again. But look at this MSP. True, but for us that were obese from childhood to later adult, like, it still takes a major toll on our mental image. I was at my highest 315. This is a mid-size princess. You ready? I was at my highest 315. Now I'm at 185 and have built a ton of muscle. Yet those sagging ass tits will always be there. The flaps, so much skin. My arms look nice, yeah, great. Yet I can pull on them and see how much skin is still there. No matter how much I hear, you look great, handsome, and all the other statements, they fall on deaf ears. What do I hear when I hear this? I hear an MSP, where it's probably not even anything, not even that bad, where he's literally being told, you look great, handsome, and he doesn't care. So this is where we can have toxic interactions between MSPs and tortured people. It's bad because what he's doing here, he's reinforcing the negative thinking of the tortured person. And it's selfish. It is. But it's also, it's not out of any malice. It's just, he's mid-sized princess. He's upset at the tiniest flaws. Everybody has flaws. It's giving tiny flaw issues. That's what it's giving to me. I don't like it. And trust me, I've tried just getting over it. I'm sure there are tons of people out there that have been in my shoes and feel the same. I can't feel proud of it. So yes, those who question what the point is, it's valid. You'll hate the way you look. Just got to do it for yourself and for your health. We never had a chance. Remember, MSPs love the word never. They love it. It's never going to be this way. I'm always going to feel this way. Oh, their two favorite words are never and always, which for those of you guys who know, those words are usually not true. We never had a chance or an opportunity to feel normal. So I hope you guys can see the difference between tortured and MSP. But MSP is really exaggerated. It's always exaggerated. So if he didn't have the absolute perfect this, that, the other, if it wasn't just that, then it'd be, well, I have a stretch mark here or there, or I have a mole right here. Like, it'll never be enough. Everything could be perfect and he still wouldn't be happy. Why? Because he hasn't let go of that aspect of the toxic ritualistic. He hasn't let go of hating his body. And he doesn't want to. So people will have a toxic ritualistic drive to hold on to that in the mids and beyond. You can see he's 185. I don't know how tall he is, but if he's around my height, 185 is probably really good shape. And it's probably not that big of a deal. My arms look nice, but I can still pull on them. You're obsessed. You're obsessed. I bet you there's probably barely anything. So, yeah. That's why I don't talk about it as much on my channel, because it's like a big void in my mind. I don't think about it that much. The only place where it has gotten worse is my thighs. That's it. Everywhere else, it's pretty much the same. On my stomach, it's so similar, but if I'm dehydrated, then it's a little bit worse. And then my arms are literally the same, which they were always, wings basically forever. I've had wings for a long time. So I just don't know, and I just don't fixate. And I know that I still have quite a ways to go, so I don't trip. I just don't. But we'll see what happens. I know I've done hella muscle work. I know I'm going to continue to do hella muscle work and maintenance. It's something I'm going to take care of, or it's something I'm going to do my absolute best with, and I'm going to see where it ends up. And I don't think it will be that bad. That's my opinion. Okay. Oh, I feel this hard. I was overweight as a kid and hit obese in young adulthood. I've now lost over half my body weight, female 46, 5'3", 286 to 140, and I have a ton of loose skin. I just got a quote to do a 360 lift for $34,000, and that doesn't even address the skin on my arms, upper back, breasts, and thighs. I have loose skin everywhere. I could spend $200K in years recovering, and I'll never look normal. That said, do I look like shit? No. I look like a strong woman with visible muscle. I look fantastic in clothes. I look like I lost a ton of weight in a swimsuit. And that's part of my history. I get it. It drives me crazy too, but it's just loose skin. It's a million times better than the alternative. So I think age can definitely play a factor too. I think it's important to consider. But also, I want to know how she lost it too. How fast was it lost? All these different things. Was it done with other interventions? Because a lot of times that's what I see too, which no shade on anybody at all, but I do see a lot of times when there's bariatric or Ozempic or something like that, it tends to be a little worse. So that's where I think about it, and I'm like, well, I want to see where it is for me. I want to see. But I try not to obsess regardless. And I don't know. But you have to think about it. And then I have to think about, well, maybe surgery would be worth it at some point. You know what I mean? But either way, you don't want it to be you want it to be as good as you can, even if you want to do surgery, because you want to have as less of surgery as possible. You know? So that's where I just have questions about it. I have a lot of questions and I want to know, but I don't necessarily believe conventional wisdom about it. That's what I will say. I think it's more gray than people state. Okay. Your feelings of unfairness are absolutely valid. You didn't get to choose your family or what you ate growing up, but now it's on you to fix it, and that would be upsetting to anybody. One thing to know is I was your height and 237. Now I'm 155 and don't have a bunch of hanging skin. So you might not either. Genetics has a lot to do with it. So I would say also thyroid health. So that's always ignored within this conversation. I'm going to keep saying it. Plus, you're younger than me, so your skin is more elastic. I do think age does play a factor too. It's a good thing you're doing this in your 20s. You have the best outcomes possible right now. Yeah, I hope OP sees this comment. If he's in his early 20s and his highest weight is 250-ish, it's possible he won't have much loose skin at his goal weight. I totally get it. I'm dealing with this too. At the end of my weight loss, I'll be maybe 60 to 65 down. At the start, I'd look in the mirror and think, oh my God, what have I done to myself? But a healthy body is worth the price. I felt the same when I was your age. I had stretch marks and I have elastic skin, and I was mad that no matter how much work I put in, I will never have the body to show for it. But I have to tell you, this will change over time. I have 2 children now, and I don't care about my loose skin. I also won't get surgery. We will all get saggy when we get older. I don't care about how my skin looks when I'm 80. I don't care how my skin looks when I'm 80 years old, but I care if I still have some muscles and can still walk and care for myself. I think that's true too. I mean, perspectives shift with age too. So I think it's something to think about, you know. My family is also obese, and as I can see them getting older, I see all their health concerns that can be attributed to their weight and lifestyle. You cannot change your upbringing, and that sucks, but you are young enough to change this aspect, and it is so hard for us humans to work towards long-term goals for all of us, but it will be so worth it, and your future self is already so proud of you. You made these changes despite the ways you have been taught and despite the genetic factors that come into play. This person said, yep, I worked in a nursing home. We all end up with saggy skin if we live long enough, even people who were skinny their whole lives. Yeah. I think that that's a thing too, is people focus too much on the weight loss aspect. Like I said, I had terrible thyroid health and I still have hanging arms. Even at my biggest, I still had it. So it's like, it's important to consider hormone health too, and liver problems and fatty liver and these types of things. Like, that all goes into it. And that can also go into age as well. But obviously age will come for you at some point regardless, you know, as you can only be so perfect for so long. But the point is, it's a holistic picture, and it's something that people don't think about. And a lot of times, if you lose a lot of weight very quickly, it's at the cost of thyroid health, and it can take a while to recover it. It can take like over a year, 2 years. You know, I did a lot of that work prior to starting my downsizing journey, but I've continued to do it within it, and I have to continue to do it in maintenance. It's a long road. I think a lot of people don't consider how long of a road it can be, especially if you want a good result. And again, I may have to consider surgery in the future, but I can assure you, with all the steps I've taken, I won't have to get as much, or it won't be as bad, or whatever. But I will let you know. That's all I can tell you. And that's basically how I've thought about it. So it's something I have considered, but I think about it a little differently. Like I said, it's a gray area. It's grayer than people will acknowledge. Okay. I haven't had kids yet, but I don't really care about my stretch marks. I just want to be able to have a healthy pregnancy and run after my kids when I'm ready to have them. And I think that makes sense. Little upside though is that when you get pregnant, your skin is already pre-stretched. I didn't get any new stretch marks. That's what I was thinking might happen, but I wasn't sure. I'd give my left nut to go back to my high school pre-USAF measurements of wearing 30-30 and being 132. I'd probably, as a 54-year-old guy, 54 today, actually would look sickly. Sigh, good luck to all you peeps. I don't know what that means. I am so confused. Childhood obesity is a very real problem and one that follows you for the rest of your life. Oh gosh, see, this is very, very MSP. People just love to say shit like that, and I'm like, I don't think so. I just don't. I don't know. I think for me, it's not the obesity, it's the toxic ritualistic and the damage that did, and like the overall, like, the fact that I lived in it for 15 years, basically. That's hard to swallow. But I think we need to make it about what it's actually about. And there are certain traumatic things that I went through as a child that I dealt with a lot, but I did work past it in my 20s. And I'm over it in my 30s. I will say, honestly, I'm over it. I'm over the cause of my toxic ritualistic. So it's like, I'm sure I'll get over the toxic ritualistic too, but it's 5 years. So it's a long time. And I think a lot of times people think long means never, and that's not true. So I don't agree. I think that's kind of MSP, and it's too extra, and I think it follows you the rest of your life if you allow it to. In my opinion, it should be taken way, way more seriously. So the issue I have with this statement is that everything should be taken seriously in terms of it. You don't throw obese adults away, because even if you only cared about children, the only way that you're going to help children is if you help adults, because obese parents, super morbidly obese parents, will typically raise super morbidly obese children. So if you help adults, you help children. There's no separation. But there is this idea of like, if we just prevent it, that's what's been conventional wisdom, and it's terrible. It throws people in the trash. And that is something that is the way it's talked about medically. It's disgusting to me. And I hate it. I really hate it. I resent it quite a bit, because they basically throw adults away. And that's not fair at all. And I do think it's important to prevent childhood obesity, but like I said, you have to prevent and fix and everything with everybody. And that's the facts. You don't leave people out. It's extremely effed up that our society is dismantling children's access to healthy food at every turn, that we have come to this junction where parents have no time, no money, and no awareness to feed their kids responsibly. So I think that this person is too focused on societal stuff and not looking at the responsibilities of a parent. It is important for a parent to take care of their child or feed their child responsibly or do these things. But we can't necessarily live in a dictatorship, so it's tricky. It's a tricky balance. Obviously, we do our best to educate. We do our best. But at the end of the day, if a parent doesn't care, you can't force a parent to care. And I keep telling you guys, and I will say it over and over again, the best thing you can do for your child if you have a toxic ritualistic issue is to get rid of it, to heal it, and to not pass it on. And even if there is that genetic predisposition, having gotten out of it yourself, you can teach your child to get out if that time comes, which hopefully it won't. Which it doesn't always, it's not an inevitability. But if you're there constantly modeling it to your child, it's so much more likely. And also, if parents are toxically ritualistic, they will make the same excuses. I don't have any time, I don't have any money, I don't know. They'll do this no matter how good society gets. It doesn't matter. It's the same reason. Their same lack of being able to fix it within themselves is the same lack of care for their children. It's completely connected. So I really don't like this commenter. I'm sorry that you grew up in that environment. I can only wish you luck on your journey. And if you choose to have kids in the future, I hope you will do better by them. This person said, I wish food never got to the point it is now. They became tools to get us addicted, so we'd spend our money to get them over and over again. Again, though, I don't engage in a lot of those foods, and I never had to. So it's important to always remember the responsibility aspect, too. You don't have to engage in it. For example, I never eat fast food, ever. I never do. I let that go for the sake of my thyroid. I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. So I quit. I never went back. You can divorce yourself from certain aspects of the food system if you choose to. And I've never regretted it. I don't think there will ever be a time in my life where fast food is a part of my life, daily or whatever, weekly, any of it. But there's certain things in my life and in my experience where it's like, I've done that to death. It's the same thing I feel about like a bag of Takis. It's like I had them to death. It's time to experience something new. It's time to experience a new thing, a new part of life, because you've done that already. I've been to McDonald's 50 bajillion times. I've been to Wingstop 50 bajillion times. I've been to these places 50 bajillion times. I don't ever have to go again. It's not something I ever missed out on. And I think that that mindset is helpful for me, because it's like, I'm not missing out. I got all up in it. I was in it deep. There wasn't a bag of chips I didn't eat. I did it all. I don't do it anymore. Because it's not, they are not preparing those foods with us in mind. They're not. If I want chips, I'll make them and be fat. I'll make them myself. I don't need them. But that being said, I will make some concessions in some areas. I'm not as anti-sugar, and I do have some candy as long as it doesn't have those oils in it and stuff like that. So we all make our concessions. We do what works for us. But again, these are these ideas I have about diet culture that I'm trying to synthesize, and I'm going to talk about it. So that's coming very soon. That will be coming in August. Okay. Man, I understand you. Growing up in a setting where you never had a chance is unfair. The loose skin part is also awful. It's like you put in all the effort and still don't look normal. But really, it's a huge weight loss. It takes a lot of strength to break the cycle. Even though it doesn't always feel like it, keep going. You're making a significant impact. I think that's a nice, it's kind of just like affirming. I would have just told him, you don't know. It's a big question mark. Even at 2:30, I still don't know. Or 2:29. I still don't know. So you have to be aware of what you don't know. Okay. I don't know if I can keep. I think think I'm good. I think I'm done. I think I went on a really long time with this. So there's a lot of comments on this too. So this post really resonated with people. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.